Eleanor drove back to her farmhouse, a place she had built with her husband, Richard, over 40 years of love and sacrifice. The wooden beams, the orchard, the barn, everything reminded her of him. Richard used to say, "This land will be our children's blessing someday." He believed their kids would take care of each other. He believed they would respect their parents. But from the moment Richard died, everything changed. Her 3 children, Derek, Amanda, and Philip, began arguing about the house, the land, the money. They visited only when they wanted something. They started treating her not like a mother, but like a wallet with legs. And Eleanor, in her softness, kept forgiving. Because that's what mothers do. But that day, when Derek told her she should feel grateful just to visit, something inside her broke. She sat at Richard's old desk, the one he had built by hand. She ran her fingers over the carved initials R and E. Then she whispered to the empty room, "Richard, forgive me. I know this is not what you wanted, but they forced my hand." For the first time in years, Eleanor cried openly. Her tears weren't of sadness alone. They were tears of clarity. She finally understood. Her children didn't deserve what she and Richard had built. They didn't deserve the orchard. They didn't deserve the house. They didn't deserve the land. They didn't deserve her. And she was done begging them to love her. The next morning, Eleanor woke up with a calmness she hadn't felt in years. She made tea, tied her hair in a bun, put on her nicest coat, and drove into town. Her first stop was the office of Harold Simmons, the family lawyer who had handled their property since Richard bought the first acre. Harold looked up from his desk, surprised. "Eleanor, everything all right?" She smiled gently. "Yes, Harold, I'd like to make some changes." "What kind of changes?" She took a deep breath. "I want to sell everything. The house, the farm, the land, all of it." Harold's jaw dropped. "Everything? Eleanor, your children—" "My children will understand that inheritance is not a right. It is earned." He studied her. He had known Eleanor for decades. This wasn't a decision made in anger. This was strength. Quiet, controlled strength. "All right," he said softly. By noon, the papers were signed. The farm would be listed privately, no public gossip, no interference from the children. By evening, Eleanor received 3 offers. By the end of the week, it was sold, for millions more than her children ever dreamed. But she didn't keep the money, not a cent. Instead, she donated the entire estate to an Oregon charity that built homes for struggling single mothers, women who actually valued family, warmth, and love. The charity director hugged Eleanor with tears in her eyes. "Ma'am, your gift will change hundreds of lives." For the first time in years, Eleanor felt seen. When the children finally found out, it was too late. The farm was gone. The land was gone. The house was gone. The inheritance was gone. All of it. The 3 siblings stormed into Eleanor's small rented apartment, shouting, "You sold everything? Mom, how could you? That was ours. You had no right." Eleanor sat calmly at her table, sipping tea. She didn't flinch. She didn't argue. She didn't apologize. Instead, she said softly, "I didn't sell your inheritance. I sold my property." Derek exploded. "We were counting on that house, on that land." Eleanor lifted her eyes, clear, steady, unshaken. "You were counting on the benefits of my life while giving me nothing in return. Not love, not respect, not even time." The room went silent. Amanda's voice cracked. "You gave it to strangers?" "No," Eleanor said. "I gave it to people who will value it. people who know what family means. Philip, the oldest, shook his head in disbelief. So, that's it? You're cutting us out? Eleanor answered with the calm of someone who made peace with her decision long before. You cut yourselves out the moment you made me feel like I should be grateful just to visit my own family. Their anger slowly turned into guilt. Their guilt turned into fear. And their fear turned into a lesson they would never forget. You still have a mother, but you no longer have her inheritance. Eleanor's life after selling the estate was not lonely. It was peaceful, beautifully peaceful. She joined a local community center, she volunteered at the shelter she had supported, she taught knitting to young mothers, and she made friends who treated her with kindness. She lived in a small apartment overlooking a garden, and every morning she watered her plants with a smile. Sometimes her children tried to reconnect. Derek brought flowers, Amanda invited her for lunch, Philip called on weekends. But Eleanor didn't rush into forgiveness. Love wasn't a switch she could turn on. Respect wasn't something she would beg for again. One spring afternoon, the charity invited her to see a newly finished neighborhood, the one built with the money from her farm. As she walked through the houses, women thanked her. Children hugged her legs. A little girl handed her a drawing of a house and said, "This is because of you." Eleanor's heart swelled. She looked up at the Oregon sky and whispered, "Richard, I hope you understand. I couldn't give our land to children who didn't value us, but I gave it to people who needed it, and that feels right." From that day on, Eleanor lived not with regret, but with pride. Her children learned a lesson they would never forget. If you mistreat the hands that built your future, those hands can take that future away. And Eleanor Hayes, the woman they thought was weak, proved something powerful. A quiet mother's revenge is the strongest of all. Those were the words that shattered 72-year-old Eleanor Hayes' heart on a freezing Oregon morning. Words that would change her life forever and lead her down a path of revenge, so calm, so unexpected, and so powerful that her children would never forget it. Eleanor stood on the porch of a home she once believed symbolized family, love, and unity. Now it was a place where she felt like an intruder. Her youngest son, Derek, blocked the doorway with his arms crossed. "Just an hour, Mom," he snapped. "We're busy. Don't touch anything inside, okay?" Behind him, his wife sighed loudly, her face twisted in annoyance. The grandchildren barely looked up from their screens. Not a single, "Hello, Grandma." Not one hug, not one smile. This wasn't a family visit, it was permission to exist for 60 minutes. Eleanor stepped inside, trying to hold on to her dignity, as the warmth of the house did nothing to thaw the coldness in the air. For years, she had imagined her old age would be filled with noisy dinners, grandchildren's laughter, and warm conversations. Instead, it was filled with loneliness, silence, and rejection. Her daughter-in-law took plates out of her hands. "Please, Eleanor, you'll make a mess. Just sit." Her grandchildren ignored her completely. Her son kept checking the time. And when her 1 hour was over, Derek followed her to the front door like a security guard escorting someone out of a store. "Next time, call first," he said sharply. "And remember, you're lucky we let you visit at all." The door slammed shut before she could even breathe. Eleanor stood on the porch as the Oregon wind slapped her face. Her heart hurt, but her spirit awakened. For the first time, she whispered, "You will never speak to me like this again." What happened next would